Welcome to dclessons.com. Now we are going to represent module 1, which is introduction to Cisco Nexus chassis series. So here we're going to talk about Nexus 7000 hardware component. So each Nexus 7000, either it is a Nexus 7700 or a 7000, hardware. Each Nexus hardware contains the chassis. It contains the supervisor module, it contains the line card, and it contains the fabric module. So we will going to learn all these topics in a different sections. But let's talk about Nexus 7000 chassis. So let's as we are aware that Nexus 7K comprises in Nexus 7700 and Nexus 700 series. So let's talk about what are all the chassis which are available in Nexus 7700. So in the Nexus 7700 there are four types of switches, which is a Nexus 7700 2-slot switch, 6-slot switch, 10-slot switch, and 18-slot switch. So each slots will have a different line cards or a supervisor attached. So let's talk about Nexus 7700 2-slot switch. The 2-slot says it is having a 2-slot, slot 1 and a slot 2. In the slot 1 you will have a line card. In the slot 2 there will be a supervisor which is connected in a half slot. So its size is half in size, right? It's a dedicated half slot soup. Air goes from inside and it goes from outside. The Nexus 7700 2-slot switch, it has a NXOS 7.20 NXOS series operating system, NXOS series. So it contains NXOS 7.2 and later series. Now it is a 2 power supply. These 2 power supplies having 3 to 3.5 kilowatt, right? It is having a 1 fan tray which is used to cool the entire system, and which consists of 3 total fans. These fans are of variable speeds. That means the speed of these fans automatically adjusted based on the requirement of your chassis. If the chassis is hot, your speed of the fan will be very fast, and there will be no fabric module. Why? Because these are only 2 slots and these all line cards and supervisor are interconnected to each other. Now comes again Nexus 7700 6-slot switch. As we see that it is a 6-slot switch, that means we have a 1 2 3 4 5 and this one is 6. So in one slot there is a 2 half slots, right? In these 2 half slots supervisor module is connected, right? And in 6-slot switch 4 slot will be used for line cards, right? 2 slots, right, dedicated half for each supervisor, right? It contains 6 fabric module. So what do you mean by fabric module? Fabric module is a backplane of the chassis. Backplane of the chassis. That means line cards, supervisor module, they all are interconnected via fabric module. So a traffic from a one line card, if we want to exit from a second line card, it has to go to via fabric module and then it exits. So we can say it is a crossbar fabric module. right? So if I draw the diagram, so suppose this is your line card 1, this is your supervisor, right? This is your line card, and this is your suppose fabric module. So all these will be connected like this. So if a traffic comes from here, it goes to the fabric module, and then fabric module sends to the another line card, and from the line card it goes out. So fabric module is a backplane of the chassis. It is used to connect the supervisor line card to each other. And these fabric modules resides behind the fan tray, right? There are 3 fans, 1, 2, and 3, right? Air flows from upside and it goes via rear. Okay, and it has a 4 power supply, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each one is having up to 3000 watt AC or DC power supply. So you can use it in a AC and DC. Now we'll talk about Nexus 7700 10 slot switch and 18 slot switch. So let's talk about Nexus 7710. So as we say that Nexus 7710, so it is a 10 slot switch, and it operates on Nexus NXOS 6.2.2 and later NXOS operating system, right? It again has a 10 slot. On the 2 slots, half of supervisor is connected. There is a 3 fan tray, right? Air comes from the front, it goes from the out. There are 6 fabric module which is behind your fan tray, and there will be a 4 power supply. And in Nexus 7718, it's a 18 slot switch. In 18 slot switch, there will be a 2 slots for supervisor. Air goes from front, it goes from back. There is a 3 fan tray, right? And it has 4 power supply, and each power supply is of having 3 to 3.5 kilowatt. Okay, now because it has a 6 fabric module, right? So Nexus 7718, it provides 42 terabyte per second of forwarding speed. Now if you talk about Nexus 7710, Nexus 7710, with the help of 6 fabric module, it provides 21 terabyte per second. So see how it is a very powerful switch. In 1 second it processes 21 terabyte of the packet. Okay, if we talk about Nexus 7706, so it contains 10.5 terabyte per second. Okay, now we are going to talk about Nexus 700 switches. So Nexus 700 switches, there are 4 types of basically switches available. 7004, 7009, 7010, and 7018. So as we say that this is a 4 slot switch, 9 slot switch, 10 slot switch, 18 slot switch, right? So if we talk about Nexus 7K 4 slot switch, you have a 4 slot, right? For 2 slots we'll have a supervisor. In slot 1 and slot 2 there will be a supervisor, and in slot 3 and 4 there will be a input output module. There will be a 1 fan tray which is used to connect entire your which is used to cool your entire switch, right? And there will be a summary LED. The summary LEDs will be used to provide the status of your line cards and supervisor module or your power supply. So if it's red, that means it's down. It's green, then it's mean it's working, right? So air flows from here and it goes from back end, side to back airflow. It's a power, it's a architecture. Now from the front you have a 4 power supply. Okay, and one thing to be noticed that 7004 is the latest one on which the Nexus 7K which the Cisco has produced. On the 7004, some certain line card doesn't support, like F1, M1 XL. These some F2, these some are the line cards which the Nexus 7004 doesn't support. Now, if you talk about Nexus 7709 slot switch, in the Nexus 7009 slot switch, this is a 9 slot switch. In the 9 slot switch, the supervisor module, connected on a slot 1 and slot 2, rest are for the line cards. Right? It has an integrated cable management system, and it is having a door. This one is door, and you can open it with the levers. Air flows from here and it goes from rear. It has obviously a LED summary. It is having a 2 power supply, and each power supply having a 2 power cord for redundancy. Right? And it is having one fan tray. Fan tray used to cool your entire chassis. And these are the crossbar fabric module. And as I said, crossbar fabric modules are those modules which is used to connect your line cards and supervisor. So in a summary, if I repeat, Nexus 7009 switch, it is a 9 slot switch. Slot 1 and slot 2 is used for your supervisor. Rest all 7 slots will be used for your line cards, right? It has a 2 power supply. Each power supply has a 2 cords, 1 fan tray, and it has a integrated cable management system, and it has a crossbar fabric module which is connected from a front side, as you see in the diagram. Now, if you talk about Nexus 7K 10 slot switch, so 10 slot switch means 7010. This means 10 slot switch. 10 slot switch on the slot 5 and 6 supervisor module is connected. Rest 1 to 4 and 7 to 10 slots are used for line card. Air flows from front, it goes from back. It has a dedicated integrated cable management system cover, so that all your cables, they can be properly arranged here and tightened here. It has a locking injector levers to lock your front part. Now in the 7010, it contains 2 type of switch. One is the system fan tray and another one is the fabric fan tray. So what do you mean by system fan tray and fabric fan tray? So the system fan tray is a fan tray which is used to cool entire system, right? Whereas a fabric fan tray is a fan tray which is used to only cool fabric module, right? It has a 5 fabric module which is connected from back. So these are all 5 crossbar fabric module. And what do you mean by crossbar fabric module? A fabric module is used to connect your line cards and supervisor to each other. It has a 3 power supply, and each power supply is having a 2 power cord for the redundancy. Now let's talk about Nexus 7018 switch. So as we see, it is a 18 slot switch. The supervisor modules is connected on a slot 9 and slot 10. Rest for your line cards. It has an integrated cable management system, but it's not dedicated like we see in the 7010. It has a power supply intake from front, right? It has a 5 fabric module which is connected vertically. In the 7010 it is horizontal, but here it is connected vertical. In the 7018 it has only one type of fan tray which we say as a system fan tray. So there is no fabric fan tray, just like Nexus 7010. So it has only 2 system fan tray which is used to cool entire your fabric module and entire your chassis. and it has a 4 power supply, and each power supply has a 2 power cord for the redundant purpose. So if you have a different grid, you can connect it to the different grid, so that if one grid fails, you can get your power to your Nexus switch from the another grid. So thank you for watching module 1, introduction to Cisco Nexus chassis series.